Good afternoon from a beautiful hazy view, a rainy hazy view. Went to Nelspruit this morning and we are back and it's still raining beautifully. Cannot sit on the grass today, so I'm in a chair, but I do have a beautiful tree to sit under, and I will read you a chapter from my book, You Are Super Blessed. In Afrikaans, I've got one in Afrikaans as well. Jy is super blessed. And then also accompanied by a journal in Afrikaans and English without a year date, so it can be used forever. Makes for very good Christmas presents. It's all about our health, physically and mentally. And I'll start reading for you chapter 9 on health. Let's read about health. After everything that we have been through together, by getting to know ourselves through self-exploration and valuable research, we have learned that health issues will evidently come up when our relationship with ourselves is not top-notch. Easily accessible statistics have shown that our emotions could be the tipping point between sickness and wellness. I believe that this is the reason why I became very sick in 2016 and ultimately realized that it was of utmost importance for me to find out what I really wanted out of this life and why. Author of Create True Belonging and Heal the World, as Brené Brown says, in the absence of love and belonging, there is always suffering. The most important part for the healing of self is to actually take the time for yourself to heal. For me, yoga was a really good start, as it is beneficial to healing because it reconnects mind, body, and soul. The word yoga means union or unity. I have already written an article of how I learned about yoga and what it means to me, with much more detail in my blog post on my website, which I post the link on the page below, as well as in the description on YouTube. When I am on my mat, that is my time and mine alone, a gift or present to myself, to be present. Reconnection with self. As I have mentioned, I'm a student of many inspiring, extraordinary humans, Louise Hay being one, and I believe in her teachings. We can heal ourselves, and I am living proof of it. Over the years, I have had quite a few health challenges, which I now believe were directly linked to my emotions. In hindsight, I have a much better understanding why I became so ill early in the year 2016. Around March 2016, I noticed that I was not my usual energetic self. Actually, when I ponder on these thoughts some more, it seems that my lower energy level started even earlier, and it took a while before I really noticed. One Sunday we were in Gordons Bay and I was not feeling well at all. It was quite a chilly day, but I was adamant that I needed to swim in the sea to osmose some healthy minerals which would make me feel better. As I hardly had the energy to get dressed, I decided to simply throw my long warm coat over my swimsuit. At the edge of the water, I took off my coat and meandered into the waves. It was really cold and I was the only swimmer. We were meeting up with our friend Andre for breakfast, but I had insisted on first having a quick mineral injection by taking a dip in the sea. When I stood up in the water, it felt as if I stood on a prickly pear, and as I took another step, it became even worse. It felt as if needles were pricking my feet and I quickly floated out. I thought I might have stepped onto some sea urchins. I didn't have a look immediately, as it was really cold and I hurried to put my coat on eagerly, as well as my booty slippers with soft insteps. This and the cold air immediately made me feel so much better. We went for breakfast with Andre, and only much later at our friend's house in the bath, I had a look as my feet felt on fire. Both feet were studded with tiny little thorns. B extracted a good few of them with a tweezer as best he could, but there were just so many. We stayed on in Cape Town visiting our daughter as we were on our way to Africa Burn. And then I've got a link at the bottom of my page, as well as in the description, about Africa Burn, which is a bucket list thing to do, yes. Even though I was resting a lot, I soon felt worse and consulted my daughter's doctor. The doctor sent some blood away for testing, and when the results came back, they said that my allergy levels were very high. The levels should have been around 70, but were 4,000, whatever that meant, I don't know. The doctor also believed it to be a blood virus, which was made worse by a hormonal imbalance. I also showed the doctor a rash behind my ear, but he didn't know what to make of it, and he invited one of his colleagues to also have a look. They were both baffled. So we were supposed to leave for Africa Burn on a Thursday, but we decided that we should rather leave on Friday, so that I could have another day for recovery. The rash was still visible. We did end up going to Africa Burn, as it was an annual event for us, 7 years in a row. The year 2016, though, proved to be the most challenging one. Except for me being unwell, we met with major trauma, the accidental death of our princess friend, who I wrote about in chapter 4. No easy task to write this article on my website, and then I've got an article, a tribute to Dana, my friend, which I'll also put in the description. Obviously, with such trauma, my illness now full-fledged. The rash spread everywhere and looked like sores. I looked and felt like a leper. We decided that it would be good for us to grieve our loss and distress at Warmwaterberg Spa on our way home from Africa Burn. We soaked in the warm mineral baths for 3 days. Marina, daughter, and Alexia, granddaughter, came from Cape Town to join us, as she was very worried about the fact that I have not recovered yet. I did not have much energy at all, and it was even difficult for me to pick up Alexia. I felt even worse when we arrived home, and after a few more days of trying but failing to get out of bed, we went for another doctor's visit. Our doctor gave me a once-over and told my husband to take me to the Mediclinic in George immediately. He phoned the hospital to find out which doctor was on call that day, and then told him we were on our way and how serious it was. We did not arrive a moment too soon, as in the emergency room I suffered an asthma attack while the medical staff were busy with my admission. It was the first major asthma attack in many years. I was swollen up about 3 times my normal size, with water retention, and the doctor said that it looked like I had first-degree burns from the hot water of the spa, which had infected the sores on my body. I was in the hospital for only 2 nights, while it felt as if I was floating in and out of this world. As we are not with medical aid, and the doctors did not know what was going on anyway, to save costs, I discharged myself from the hospital. When someone spoke to me, it felt as if I had a helmet on and I was inside my very own bubble. This went on for about a week, until one evening, as weird as it may sound, when I put my ear down on the pillow and I heard a distinct pop sound, like a balloon, like you burst a balloon with a prick. It felt as if I had come back from another dimension. Being in the flow of gratitude for many years, I believe gratitude begets more gratitude. I had my strong husband, family and friends who cared for me so well. Everything and anything I needed was provided. We were told to see a dermatologist for more tests, and I even had a biopsy as well as some more blood tests. A lot of money was spent, and still we had no concrete answers. But because of this health issue, I investigated some more on my own and even made a visit to an iridologist. She not only checked out my eyes, but also did a live blood analysis for me, and this brought about a lot of new insights, pun intended. I also attended a sweat lodge, a first for me experience, and one that helped me create further awareness of what was holding me back. I also have a link of the article I wrote on the Sweat Lodge. It's quite a good one. I had to write that article the minute I came back from the Sweat Lodge. I took a bath. It was very cold that day and raining, and I took a bath and I immediately started writing because that feeling was overwhelming from what came out of that Sweat Lodge. And the link I will put in the description as well. I have always been curious and had it in the back of my mind to try a Sweat Lodge, but just never made the time. Because I was on this healing quest and made the effort to investigate what was going on with me, I became much more aware of how emotional and physical health are linked, and that is why I wrote this book. By not dealing with emotional challenges, it will manifest into sickness. The fact that I would be 50 soon and my hormones seemed to be out of whack also contributed to me being unwell. But I firmly believe that being sick forced me to get to the roots of the challenges that were creating blocks and holding me back. I was having breakfast with my family at our farmer's market in Sedgefield when Chris, a friend of Jean, my son, walked by and we were introduced. Chris proceeded to tell us about the Sweat Lodge happening at Pachamama retreat near Karatara the very next day. I felt such an inexplicable urge to participate, and in that moment my mind was made up to do it. I wrote in my blog article how challenging it was to get there. When I eventually sat inside the tiny hut, it felt as if I was perfectly placed in time and space. The hut was very small and we had to crawl in through a tiny opening. I counted 9 people to start with, but 2 got cold feet and left. Then we were 7 and were told to sit in a circle and settle in. The number 7 has always been profound to me, and I saw it as another sign that I was at the perfect place. Not only is the number 7 widely considered to be the perfect number, but my first relationship as a teenager lasted until its 7th year. My first marriage lasted 7 years. My first business, yes, 7 years when I sold it. My second business, exactly the same, also 7 years. That was the Holiday Maker, which is still continuing on these days. So it came as no surprise when 7 fire-glaring red stones were brought in and carefully placed in the middle of our circle. Each stone was welcomed and symbolized as a grandmother. The flaps of the hut were closed and we sat in pitch darkness with only the glaring of the hot stones. Water was added and created a lot of steam in the small space. It was the strangest feeling and totally out of my comfort zone, as I am claustrophobic. Nishiwaka, our most peaceful guide, started the meditation with his melodious voice. Chakra number 1, red, the red one, was confronted, cleansed and cleared of any bad energy by visualizing and surrounding it in soft healing light. This felt so amazing and I could feel my body and mind responding well. The next chakra, orange, was addressed and lovingly cleansed and healed. All the while the water was poured on the stones and steam was enveloping us. I was sweating profusely by this time, also a new experience for me as I do not sweat easily, but it did not matter at all as I felt giddy with expectation. With chakra number 3, the yellow one, the solar plexus chakra, it was a different story altogether. This is the chakra that has to do with nurturing oneself or self-love. As I have already written a blog article in so much detail, which can be read on the link on page 118, I can only say that it was really a challenge for me, and at some point I had to flee outside as I had a full-on panic attack. Beautiful. It was surreal as I learned so much that day how to proceed with my life, while at the same time believing that I was busy dying, having the panic attack. When I calmed down enough and looked around at my peaceful setting, I prayed, grateful for the perfect serene space and beauty that was surrounding me, while I believed I took my last breath. Very dramatic indeed, but it dawned on me that we all know that we are going to die one day, and how ironic that this is the only certainty of our life. Feeling absolutely relaxed now, with feelings of utmost peace, I heard something, and when I turned my head, I saw the flap of the hut opening and more stones being fetched. I felt a surge of fresh determination, and feeling quite dizzy, made my way back inside the hut, where we proceeded to welcome some more glaring red stones as grandmothers. It dawned on me that I too am a grandmother, and I have probably handed down my cell memory to my children and on to my grandchildren. It strengthened me to realize that I was here to let go, not only for me, but also for my loved ones. The experience was definitely not over, as it became a lot worse again before it got better. But I'm so very grateful that I had the privilege of being at this life-changing event. Because of this experience, I am now living much healthier than ever, looking after myself much better, mind, body and soul. I also minimized the use of any chemicals on my person. And best of all, because of this health issue, my business in skincare products was born. And there's also a link to my shop of my website, and you can see all my beautiful products. Obviously, I learned a lot, and nowadays I'm consciously so much more aware of my health. The teacher appears when the student is ready. One of them appeared in the form of our Monsieur and very good friend Martin, who gave me a message when I really needed it most. And then I've got a link to my fabulous friend Martin. I've written about a few of my fabulous friends, and Martin is definitely one of them. He shared with me an easy exercise which can be used as a tool for staying healthy by letting go or releasing negativity. It should be done daily, because to stay healthy, we have to go loo daily. Every time you go for a poo, let go, not only physically but mentally as well. Think of those mental challenges which are holding you back. Let go of it with this simple symbolism. Imagine we do this daily, as we do anyway, but letting go daily of all our mental fears and challenges. We are definitely going to be so much healthier and lighter. With my health challenge came a few good realizations, and the most important one was that we need to nourish our bodies with good chemical-free food. What we put in is what we are going to get out. If we choose to look after our bodies, it will also look after us. Nowadays, we try to avoid supermarkets as much as possible. We buy from farmers markets and try to keep this up even when we travel. We have also taken sugar and milk out of our diet for the most part. I do still eat chocolate, but not much, in moderation. Our son Jean and his wife Katja grow and provide healthy food to the town of Sedgefield. Yeah, nowadays they are on the farm, so I'm going to read this, but this was while I was writing the book. They still had their business Sedgefield Market Garden, and now they're gardening on the farm. Their business, Sedgefield Market Garden, has taken off, and I feel super blessed to see how this operation is blooming, pun intended again. And then I've got a beautiful link there to the garden that they had. So beautiful, that they worked so hard for it, and yeah, it really did very well. This was in 2018. Yeah. Our minds are very powerful, and I believe our health benefits so much when we feel that we have a purpose-filled life. I do not like watching a lot of television, but we traveled and stayed for more than a month in Bloemfontein for work. I accidentally stumbled onto the program named Expresso, a feel-good breakfast show on SABC 3. There and then I decided that I would give myself permission to tune in every morning while we were there, which would assist me to integrate with the outside life a little more. So this is how I saw an interview with a gentleman who planted a flourishing veggie garden on his front lawn on the outside of his fence. It was a practical idea, and he felt blessed when the garden produced only too well. But, being in South Africa, It came as no surprise when the veggies were stolen, and at first he became quite upset. Then, when he gave it some more thought, he realized that there was still ample for his own household, and he was actually feeding someone in need. This made him feel so good that he changed his perception and decided that he will happily keep on providing. Can you imagine if all of us started planting veggie gardens on the sidewalks? Maybe it could even help with the crime rate. We visited Turkey in 2014 and they have fruit trees growing on the sides and in the middle of their roads. It smells and looks divine. You even feel more energetic just by walking under the lush fruit trees. Knowing that we were surrounded by life-giving food ready to be picked made us feel so much more at ease. And then I've got a saying by Louise Hay, and that will conclude our chapter. I am worth healing. I am worth the time it takes to learn how to nourish myself. I love you, body. How beautiful is that? Yes. And that is all for today. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and please share it if you think it's worthwhile to your friends and family. And let's build a super blessed community and then be super blessed.